right? What you are auditing in procurement function is this. You are auditing the process vis-a-vis the job function as defined in their SOP, standard operating procedure, or simply procedure. You are also auditing in IT audit now. Their roles, the privileges, and all those things as it affects the procurement manager or team on the platform, on the database. But the fact is that at times, this procurement function that we're talking about, you find out a number of things in the process audit. Most times they are not even profiled on any application, except if they have procurement application in some companies, though it's rare. But a number of times, the findings that you make or that you see are from the process. I like giving practical scenario. I was in a company. When we got there, they had just changed the procurement manager. So they brought in another procurement manager. I happened to audit the procurement manager. Within a few months, he's managed a number of things. He brought in different vendors, he's personally repairing his fridge. He brought him in as a vendor. People that were not fit, he was just asking people to apply, he was just giving them job and all those things, and so many things happened. But where I'm even going is this. There was a procurement manager, they just removed and replaced him with. What they were doing in the procurement process, when you submit requests, when they call vendors, vendor will submit invoice or whatever they want to deliver. They submit invoice and all those things. What they do, they will look at the prices that all of them brought. They will now pick the one with the lowest price. They will now call that person and say, we will give you so amount. For example, everybody brought 10,000. Or let's say somebody has brought 11,000. Somebody now brought 9,005. What they will do is they will call the one with the 9,005 to say, we are paying you 9,003 or 9,002. It simply means that the procurement manager can determine who gets what. How? Because I know that they will always call the last person. So what I will do is, I will tell you amount to quote. I can tell everybody, and I can tell the one I want to give job. Yes, there's a committee, but all of them will first submit the quote or the invoice to the procurement manager, who will take it to the procurement committee for debate. And that is the process. They don't consult markets. They don't check how much it is in the market for comparison until after our audit findings, before they now review their process. We pass through a lot too, because they say we mess up their work, which is not like that. But the fact is that the procurement manager can say, you, because he knew that people had quoted different prices, he can tell you how much to quote, because you are the one that they will call. So if he decides to give you job this time, he knows how to do it. If he decides to give B job next time, he knows how to do it. So he can be determining who gets what. Another thing we discover in that company is, at first when we came in, they wanted to buy 300 calculator. They wanted to buy 300 kangaroo stapler. They wanted to buy 300 reams of printing paper. Kangaroo stapler, they were selling it for 1,300 per one. They wanted to buy 300. Casio calculator, they were selling it for 1,500. They wanted to buy 300. The vendors quoted 2,008 for all of them. For each of them, for kangaroo stapler that was sold for 1,300, they quoted 2,800. Casio that was sold for 1,500, they quoted 2,800. That's extra 1,500 on one, extra the one extra 1,300 on one times 300 each. The ream of paper in normal markets, they were selling it for 9,000. In the company, they were selling for, I think, 6,500 at that time. 6,500. Office 360 or Office something. I can't remember. I think Office 360 or so. They were selling it for 6,500 in that year, many years ago. They wanted to buy 300, and the vendor quoted 13,000. Far above how much they are selling it in the market. Even if you go to general market, it's sold for 11,000, and the vendor quoted 13,000. So the head of that group at the time, we joined in together. He said, no, you cannot buy a calculator of 300 pieces. Cut it to 150. Cut kangaroo stapler to 150. Then ream of paper, let's leave that one. And the question I ask is, even in bank, you can't buy 150 calculator now, 150 kangaroo stapler. For what? Do you want to be giving it to one person? This is a company that comprises about 200 staff. You give a stapler to a unit, to a department, to a group, not to one. Why? Simply because somebody, just calculate all those things, 1,500 times 150. Because the boss said they should cut it to 150. 1,513 times 150. Calculate the excess on the printing paper. We are talking of several millions here. And that is what had been happening before I joined that company. I met a vendor who told me that they used to give him money. He said they had given me 10 million naira before to keep. So anytime they need something, they will tell him. Anytime they need something, they will tell him. He said at times he will be the one that will be telling them, do you need this? I have this. So that they could finish their money. And do you know the implication of that? Your 10 million naira could be exhausted. You'll be told that it's exhausted. Even if it's only 6 million or 7 million, you have exhausted. He has the opportunity to inflate price. He has the opportunity to do so many things. He said he called it good old days. He said before we joined. And those are the things. Because the thinking in that company is that it is their time. They see the owners as Oliba. That is the mentality. They see the owners of the company, good people who own the company, they see them as thieves. So they believe that they could also take their own. They could take their own. And I must do my work. I went through a lot. Those are the things. I stopped a number of things in that company. And there was a time I would sit, the chair would be hot on my back. There was a time they shot me in the dream. Kosa. There was a time I experienced what they call akpeta before they eventually poisoned me. I was sleeping, that bed just dropped the meat on my mouth. I was struggling to vomit it when I woke up. But I made up my mind I will not die. Every month, I was spending my money on those things. During COVID, spending my money, going from one town to the other. I will go every month once they pay salary, I will pay a soldier, I put them in front of the car so that they will not stop us. I'm traveling. I say I'm going to the mountain, I'm going to this place. I just made up my mind, I will not die. Just because we're reviewing process. So procurement process is a very delicate thing to auditing a company. I like sharing experience. So, but most times, you always see one nonsense or the other in procurement review as it affects the process. In fact, in that company, there was a time they changed they brought another procurement manager. They made sure that because that one was not cooperating with them to bring in vendor, anytime they bring in vendor, they will say, Mr. Lagbaja say I should bring in this vendor. What they were doing is they made sure that they send that away. And many more that we saw. So procurement function, procurement process, those things are things that your findings are always in the process. They are not usually profiled on any application. So that's for that.